everybody wants to get united. Like, what we gotta do is meet everybody on 149th Street at the bench.
Graffiti pieces are one of the flashiest art forms out there and certainly really impressive. So recently I asked you guys over on the community portion of my page who you think are the top 10 best graffiti piecers, and that's what we're going over in today's video. Now before we get into it, I gotta let you guys know you listed off a crazy amount of phenomenal graffiti artists. We're not gonna be able to put all of them on this list, so we might follow it up with a part 2 because in all honesty these videos are just a great excuse to share really dope art with you guys. And on that note, if you don't see your favorites on this list, feel free to share them in the comments down below because once again this is all about sharing inspiration. So at number 10 we're gonna kick this list off with Rex. I love this guy's work. He's got this really dope way about implementing these old school methods into his letters. The way certain letters connect, certain extensions that he uses, the fill-ins, it's all just very nostalgic. But it still has a little zing of new school flavor to it, and I love the way he incorporates both of those things. Which in today's day and age, where everybody's trying to go bigger, wild, and like crazy with their letters, this is really dope. It's a nice refreshing breath. From there, we move on over to Softless, and I know I'm saying the name wrong, I think it's pronounced Softles, I'm not exactly sure, my apologies, but this right here is evidence that this is in no particular order because the man's phenomenal. He's got some of the best pieces in the game in today's day and age, and in all honesty, he's kind of working ahead of the curve. He's very much ahead of the times. And what's really amazing about that is the fact that he makes it look so effortless. I have to imagine a lot of his skill, a lot of his knowledge, and what makes him ahead of his times is the fact that he understands other art forms. He's not limited to just graffiti, and this gives him a different perspective on how to make his letters function. And this is actually something that's very common amongst artists that know different art forms. We'll see it not only here on this list, but you can see this in any art form for that matter. He's just better at it than most people. Now before we move into the next one, I want to let you guys know we got a little bit of a sale happening over on our store. So pick up some How to Do Graffiti books if you'd like. Our newest book has helped thousands of graffiti artists. And if you want to get in on that, now's the perfect chance to do it. So head on down to the description before sales end next month. Next up, one of you guys went ahead and shouted out Stigma to be on this list, and the second I looked up their work, you know me, I like the more simplistic straight letter stuff, so this immediately connected with me. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to find a lot of their work, but the work I did find was pretty nice and clean. Albeit some simple straight letters, nothing necessarily revolutionary, but that's alright. Not everything has to be. Now, somebody who got a lot of love was Chas. I hope I'm saying that right, but he has a really unique style for graffiti. And a large part of this is the way he handles not only the negative space, but the positioning of his letters. A lot of people tend to go for very standard positioning, and this usually means that your letters are going to be slanted in a similar way throughout the name, and they're going to be positioned on the baseline, mean line, and cap line. But not for him. He tilts his letters in different ways that kind of angle towards one another at certain times. This not only increases negative space, but it can also drastically increase letter weight, and it can make flow particularly difficult to work with. So the fact that he's able to manage all of that very seamlessly and easily is a testament to his skill and knowledge. That being said, while most advanced graffiti artists can certainly pull that off as well, to embed that into your entire style and do it very frequently as effectively as he does it, it's pretty impressive, and his work is definitely more unique for it. Also, the fill-ins on this dude are amazing, and it works so beautifully in just about every piece. One of my favorite graffiti artists on this list. Then we move to somebody I haven't heard of before, and that's no insult to them because I'm glad you guys have shared their work with me. That's what these videos are for, right? And that person is Woke, I think is how that's written. This whole video is just me not knowing if I'm saying names right. But regardless, their work is really sick, man. Look at this. And personally, I'm particularly a fan of their characters. I really like the way they actually do their cartoons in the background. To me, that's the highlight of a lot of these works. Now, their letters are certainly dope, but sometimes the letters take a back seat to the actual characters themselves, and the characters become the focal point. However, if you notice something about his work, his characters usually interact with the graffiti, or the graffiti interacts with the character, depending on which one's the focal point, of course. And that right there is something we don't see enough of in graffiti, and I'm glad they make the extra effort to do that, because it works out beautifully. One of you guys, as a matter of fact, I think multiple people went ahead and recommended Zoner. This guy's work is phenomenal. It gives me a lot of, and I don't mean this disrespectfully, it gives me a lot of Saber vibes in all the right ways. Check this piece out. This is incredible. Now, what I really like about this is the fact that they're able to control the chaos of their style. A lot of times you see intermediate graffiti artists, and even plenty advanced graffiti artists, they'll do a wild style and they'll lose the letter structure. And I don't mean that in a good way. They'll literally destroy the letter structures for the sake of style, not Zoner. Sure, it might be a little bit difficult to read, but the letters are definitively there. And that right there is really impressive to me. That's a mark of somebody who really understands what they're doing, that's the mark of somebody who's a true skilled artist in this art form. So Zoner definitely deserves to be on this list in my book. Then from there we go to Adam Stab. And kind of like what we saw earlier in this video, he's got this nice mix of modern day touch to an old school feel. And as you guys already know, I'm a fan of that kind of thing, so this is right up my alley, and I dig a lot of his work for sure. Moving on, we got somebody who doesn't really need much of an introduction, and that's Dream. Dream has been crushing the graffiti scene for ages, and I mean, just look at this piece. Like, Dream is somebody who definitely has earned his place on lists like this, not even on just our list here today, but on other people's lists. And it's not like they're a one-trick pony. I mean, most people on this list aren't. He's got the throwies, he's got hand styles, he's got it all. I mean, this is a piecing top 10, but he deserves to be on much more than just that. Massive respect to Dream. Real quick, if you guys would like to be in our How to Do Graffiti Throwies book, the sequel to our previous book, which you guys love, then check out the description down below. We're looking for viewer-submitted throwies to help teach certain lessons in the book itself. That way, alongside of our own illustrated throwies for certain lessons, we can have real-world examples from you guys. And these throwies could be on anything. They could be on paper, they could be on walls, it doesn't matter. Just make sure you're all good with the rules on the website itself, and feel free to go ahead and submit your throwie. Now we've got somebody who absolutely has to be on this list, and that's Saber. We're talking about somebody who's not only influenced generations of graffiti artists and their styles, but somebody who also did one of the most iconic pieces in the world. And if you ask me, he's one of the few modern day graffiti artists who actually qualifies and has earned that legendary status. The guy's phenomenal. I mean, just think about how much effort and how much skill and knowledge and practice it takes to not only become one of the best graffiti artists in the world, but also be ahead of your times in that art form and also become at a professional skill level in other art forms. That's no easy task, and it's something most graffiti artists don't even come close to doing. And he's done it pretty effortlessly for decades at this point. And right alongside him, we have Rime, another person who's earned that legendary status, and a large part of that has to do with the fact that this man single-handedly defined a generation of style for graffiti. I can't tell you how many people copied and bit this dude, and even still bite him today. I've been teaching graffiti for a long time now, and people bite the same people over and over again. Now, people are still biting Rime, and it's been like 20 years at this point. Like, this guy's style is timeless. And after such a long stretch of time, people nowadays still haven't caught up to Rime. They haven't caught up to Rime and what he was doing 10, 15, 20 years ago. Obviously, some people have, like other people on this list, for example, but we're talking about the average graffiti artist. Also, yet again, one of those people who understands other art forms. But that's the top 10 for this video, guys. Let me know who are your favorites in the comments down below. We're gonna be following this up with a part 2, so you can always suggest other people down there as well. And if you want to learn more about graffiti, check out our brand new book that teaches you all of the fundamentals. We have a digital version on our online store and physical copies over on Amazon. While you're at it, if you want to see a top 10 throwies video, check that out right down here with the best how to do graffiti tutorials right up here. And I'll catch you guys back here next week.